Tonight, you'll probably sleep with a phone within arm's reach. You'll check it before you close your eyes. You'll check it the second you open them. You already know this is bad for your sleep, but the real answer is stranger than a bad habit. The way you sleep tonight has almost nothing in common with the way any human has ever slept before. You were not built for this kind of night. For roughly 300,000 years, human sleep looked one way. Then, in about a century, it changed completely. You're not failing at sleep because you're undisciplined. You're attempting something your body has zero evolutionary memory of. You inherited a brain shaped by campfires and darkness, and you're asking it to shut down under blue light, alone, in a sealed room. So what did sleep actually look like before this? The historian A. Roger Ekirch spent over a decade combing through diaries, court records, and medical texts from pre-industrial Europe. He found the same pattern again and again. People described not one long sleep, but two. A first sleep beginning shortly after dark. A quiet waking period in the middle of the night. Then a second sleep, carrying them to dawn. During that waking window, people didn't panic. They prayed, talked, tended the fire, visited neighbors. It was ordinary enough to have its own name. This wasn't insomnia. This was simply what a night was. So why does waking at 3 a.m. today feel broken? Because light used to be rare. Before electricity, darkness was the default state of the world for half of every day. One fire produced a fraction of the light of a single modern bulb. Your ancestors weren't fighting the dark. They lived inside it, and their sleep bent to fit its shape. But that's only pre-industrial Europe. What about earlier? In 2015, sleep researcher Jerome Siegel studied 3 hunter-gatherer groups still living without electricity on 3 different continents: the Hadza, the San, and the Tsimane. If one universal ancient sleep pattern existed, this is where you'd expect to find it. Instead, Siegel found these groups slept in a single continuous block, going down hours after sunset, waking before sunrise, with almost no reported insomnia. So which is true, segmented or continuous sleep? Both, depending on where and when you ask. Sleep was never one fixed program. It was flexible, responding to temperature, light, and social context. That flexibility is the real inheritance, not a schedule. And that raises an uncomfortable question about what you're negotiating with instead. Anthropologist Carol Worthman has spent decades studying sleep across cultures. Her research points to one conclusion: modern, solitary, screen-lit sleep isn't the historical baseline, it's the outlier. Most humans, for most of history, slept near others, with some low-level activity around them. Total darkness and silence on demand, the exact conditions wellness culture now tells you to chase, were rare, not standard. The advice meant to fix your sleep might be asking for a condition your species barely experienced. So what actually changed? Light did. Cheap, artificial, endless light. Gas lighting spread through cities in the 1800s. Electric light followed soon after. For the first time, humans could manufacture daytime on demand. The natural boundary between wakefulness and sleep, enforced for hundreds of thousands of years by the environment itself, simply stopped being enforced. Your body still expects that boundary. It just doesn't get one anymore. Here's the twist. The problem was never that your ancestors sometimes woke at night, or slept close to others, or drifted off to something other than silence. The problem is that you're now sleeping in permanent artificial daylight, in permanent isolation, on a schedule that never existed before. What you call insomnia might sometimes just be your body remembering a world that no longer exists. Which brings us back to that phone glowing beside your bed. You didn't invent staring into light before sleep. Every human before you did some version of it, staring into firelight, staying a little too long in its glow before letting the dark take over. The behavior is ancient. Only the light source changed. Firelight fades on its own. Your phone's light doesn't dim until you decide to put it down, and it was built by people whose job is making sure you don't. So maybe the question isn't why you can't sleep like your ancestors did. Maybe it's whether the world you've built even lets you try. Tonight, when you check your phone one more time before sleep, understand what you're doing. You are not doing something new. You are doing the oldest thing there is. You just don't recognize the fire anymore.